Hey guys, so I was out here on a little day hike and I wanted to talk about something real quick. And I want to talk about my opinion, what I think the number one EDC slash fixed blade bushcraft knife you can get would be. Now the purpose of use behind this knife would be obviously everyday carry, so carrying it on your belt, in your pocket, or possibly, if you're not allowed to really have it on you, throwing it in your EDC bag, like a small little bag with some essential items that you use every day. So, also, this knife should be able to go from that kit or on your body into the woods and perform well at wilderness tasks, such as carving, notching, slight batoning for firewood. You should be able to clean game with it if you so choose to, like in a survival situation. This is an emergency fixed blade knife. Now, obviously, you could go super high end with this, or you could stay lower end, whichever one you want. I have had higher end knives. I still use some higher end knives. However, for my purpose, a simple little Mora 2.0 or 2/0. This is a really tiny, this is the smallest classic that they make, in this little hand stitched leather sheath. So for me, this knife fits all requirements, makes all the check marks, all that stuff. So reason being, it's very, very lightweight. If you're carrying this in your pocket or on your belt, you don't really want to know that it's there if you're going to carry it with you every day. It's still a fixed blade knife. This knife technically is full tang, since it does come to the end, but it's a rat tail tang. I've never broken one Mora. I've beat the crap out of them. I set out with a 511 and tried to break it using, obviously I could drive it in this log and kick it, it would break, but other knives would do that as well. Just through hard extended use, couldn't break it. So that's really kind of what turned me on to these Moras, and they're fairly inexpensive. This knife was like $15. That being said, you could get this same knife, size, purpose of use from Bark River, Blind Horse, or no longer Blind Horse, Battle Horse, LT Wright, Becker, something like that. But if, let's say, a knife is $100, okay, I could buy multiple of these for that same amount, or I could buy this knife, keep it forever, and spend that other money on other gear. I used to be kind of caught up in the whole, I need the most expensive thing possible because it's better. I realize that's not true in a lot of ways. Like this pack here, I got it for 20 bucks. It's a used, I had to stitch it a little bit up here. It's a used military pack. It was 20 bucks. It works great. I used to think I had to have a $300 ultralight pack. Not necessarily. Now, if I were going to be hiking, 1,000 miles or something, yeah, I'd want a lighter pack. However, the Mora is my exception to the rule, buy once, cry once. Mora knife works just fine. Like I said, I've never broken one, and I feel completely fine trusting my life to this knife. In a survival situation, would I like to have had the one or the two? Yes, but at the same time, I may not have had that knife with me because this knife goes right on my belt. I don't really notice it. So we'll go ahead here. We'll get to a couple of cutting tasks, just showing you off the knife, and I'll get back with you. Okay guys, so I'm out here right now. We have the little Mora 2.0 with us. We're going to go ahead and split down a little bit of wood like we would for firewood, and then we'll do a little bit of carving, a little bit of notching, some other little tasks that I would expect a knife like this to perform well at. Here we have some tulip poplar, or poplar magnolia, whatever, it goes by a couple names, but here we go. In my area, this and pine, as well as oak, are our prominent woods. For the most part, I prefer to work with tulip poplar if I can. The only thing is it is kind of knotty and it will split out, but if you're working for a small fire, it's not too big of an issue. So see, just a little bit of batoning to get some smaller pieces, no issue at all. You know, I I've had a couple of these little knives, and they're in various kits and such. You know, I always seem to have one with me, no matter what I'm really doing. And they perform very well, and you can, I have extra large hands, large to extra large, and I can still get a full grip on the knife. So as you can tell, you can carve really nice feathers with this, no problems at all. I'm just placing these back here on my sit pad, keep them up off the ground. We have had rain in recent days. Okay, so obviously she'll split, baton, and carve. So next thing I want to do is just show you guys that you can, carve stuff. So we'll go ahead here and I'll carve a tent stake. Okay, so here we have this piece of wood. I'm just going to go ahead and use it. We'll come in from the side over here. Just tap in a little bit to get our notch started. Come up in here. And I like carving a tent stake because you can use a lot of different cuts when you're carving a tent stake. So just use your straight hammer push cuts. Put your thumb up on the spine to get some control. Okay, then we'll come up here, we'll get kind of in our reverse grip right here. Just kind of push the knife around to chamfer this edge so we can hammer it. Okay, now this has a knot in it, but it'll work all the same. We're going to go to our chest lever grip. Then you get the point. Now, obviously, probably wouldn't be the best tent stake because it's not. But nonetheless, you can carve just a fine tent stake. Now I have a piece of tulip poplar here, and another reason I like to work with it so much is this bark makes fantastic fire tinder. So I'm going to go ahead and take this knife here, turn around and use the back of the knife, and just kind of pop all this loose. Get this loose. As you can see here, I'm getting quite a bit of fibrous material right here. Now this one's starting to kind of come apart, but with the back of this knife, you can go up here and scrape and get fantastic small tinder. I don't know if you can see that there, but that's just like jute twine right there, so that we're definitely going to save that. So as I sit here and I work this bark for our fire tinder, you just want to rough it back and forth, rip, shred, tear, all of that. You just want to create as much surface area as possible. As you can see that dust coming off of it right there, that just shows how dry this material is. We have our little bit here that we collected with our knife. Now, one thing about the Mora knife is it does have to be modified to work with a ferro rod. You do have to sharpen the spine of the knife so that you can strike a ferro rod. That's the camera here just so you can get a nice up close view of this material here. As you can see, it's very dusty, which means that it's very dry. What I'm going to do is I just want to fluff this up as much as possible for my little bird's nest and lay it there. Like I said, this knife does have to be modified with a file or a belt sander, something along those lines. so that you can strike a ferro rod. What I like to do is I like to plant my ferro rod, and there you go. Super easy material to ignite. And that's one requirement for my EDC knife that I'm going to be using in the bush, would be a sharpened spine, so you can collect that material, you can process it down, and then you can also strike that ferro rod so that you can get your material going. So that being said, you know, that's the Mora Classic 2.0. It's a fantastic knife with this nice birchwood handle. Has this like epoxy paint that's red, holds up really well. Try sanding this off, you'll see how durable it is. If you don't like the red, you can sand it off. Get some very strong sandpaper though, I would suggest. I do put a slight patina on my knives. I just leave it from cutting fruit. I eat a lot of fruit, so I can, you know, I like to use my knife because it's on my hip every day to cut up my fruit, so it will occur a patina over time. However, I just go ahead and leave it on there. Helps prevent rust. This knife, like I said, can be had for $15, and in my opinion, especially in the carving department, it outperforms almost every other knife, even knives that are up over $200 that I've used about the same size, you know, in the carving department. Now, quality of materials, this is 1095 in birch. Probably won't have a problem out of it. The edge, very, very sharp, and it's very easy to resharpen. I do put a polished edge on mine, just in case. I like to keep my edge pristine in case I do need it. I don't want to go out with a half dull edge. I want to start out with a pristine edge. So, you know, I carry this knife with me every day, whether it be backpacking, hunting, fishing, trapping, or even just going out bushcrafting. Sometimes will be the only knife that I bring with me. So I want to thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I hope to see you on the next one.